Hey guys, it's almost the end of the year, so I thought it would be fun to go through some of my most anticipated 2025 releases. I am going to do this by quarter, so this video is just going to be for January, February, and March. I do read mostly mystery, thriller, and horror, so that is going to be like the vast majority of what I talk about here. So let's just jump right in because I have a lot of books to talk about. So for January, we have The Last Room on the Left by Leah Conan. I've read this author before and really liked her other books, so I'm excited for this one. The little tag says, the caretaker at an isolated mountain hotel finds herself fighting for her life and sanity in this twisty, addictive feminist take on The Shining. So I'm a big fan of The Shining, and I love isolated stories, and this one sounds like there's a blizzard, which is also one of my favorite things. So I'm really hoping that this one lives up to my expectations, and it comes out January 14th. Next we have The Lost House by Melissa Larson. This one, it says, in Melissa Larson's The Lost House comes a mesmerizing story of a young woman with a haunting past who returns to her ancestral home in Iceland to investigate a gruesome murder in her family. So this one also sounds pretty secluded, and the cover shows like a blizzard or some snow, so I'm assuming there's probably some sort of weather event or at least a lot of snow where she's kind of isolated in Iceland. And this one, I do tend to like when there's a family element to it, like something in the past that they're trying to solve or whatnot. So this one sounds really interesting, and this one is also on the 14th. Next we have The Inheritance by Trisha Saklecha. I'm so sorry. I know I'm probably going to mispronounce some names. So this one, it says, a billionaire is primed to announce a succession plan for his company to his family at a lavish reunion, but at last one person won't make it through the week alive. Most family reunion ends in tears. This one will end in murder. So I always love a family reunion story that ends in murder. I don't know why, but the drama just is great. That one comes out the 21st of January. Next we have The Family Inside by Katie Gardner. This one's the 28th of January. All it says, it takes a special family to turn a home into a nightmare. So this one, it says, since her husband's unsolved murder 3 years ago, Iris's life has unraveled. Awash in grief and buried in debt, she can't pay her mortgage now that she's lost her job. She has no idea how she'll provide for her unruly teenage daughter, Ellery. So it sounds like, so then she gets a new boyfriend and things start to go downhill from there. So this one sounds very interesting. I do tend to like family secrets and family things like that. Also, it sounds like maybe the house is kind of haunted. I'm not sure if it'll be like a ghost story or if it's kind of just creepy, but either way. Next we have The Dark Hours by Amy Jordan. So this one is also a foreign one, and it says that it takes place in Ireland, so that's fun. So it sounds like we have two split timelines, one from 1994 and then one from present day 2024. So it sounds like there's a house that they get called to, and then people get killed, and then present day, the same woman goes back to kind of figure out what happened in 1994. So I do tend to like a split timeline like that, especially if there's like an unsolved murder or unsolved something, you know. So I'm definitely excited for that one. Next we have Best House on the Block by T.R. Reagan. This one says, revealing a neighbor's deep secrets and dark obsessions turn to murder in a shocking novel of psychological suspense by a New York Times best-selling author. So this one sounds like there's, a rich neighborhood, everybody's got secrets, and things start to come out. And of course, when secrets come out, there's murder or there's more lying, more secrets start to come out. So overall, this one sounds really interesting. I do tend to like a neighborhood secret situation, and we'll see. Next, we have The Perfect Home by Daniel Kennitz. This one sounds very interesting. So the tagline says, "Fixer-upper meets Gone Girl in the suspenseful and twisty domestic thriller set in the world of home renovation TV, featuring a woman who becomes public enemy number one after a horrifying discovery prompts her to flee her celebrity husband with their twin babies." So I think a mix between Fixer-upper and Gone Girl sounds super interesting. And, who doesn't like HGTV? And then you throw in a murder mystery or some sort of mystery or secrets or whatever. So this one sounds very unique. So I'm excited to read that one. And the cover is also very interesting. I do like all the colors. So I'm excited. I hope it actually lives up to my expectations, of course. Next is Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. This one also sounds very interesting. So it says she has his dead wife's heart. The one she wants is his. The author of the family plot brings her signature prose to a twisty novel about a heart transplant patient who becomes romantically obsessed with their donor's husband. So it sounds like the woman has got a heart transplant, and then she becomes obsessed with the heart owner's husband. So this one sounds very interesting, and I'm very curious where it's gonna go, because I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of twists. And yeah, it just sounds very interesting. I have Megan Collins. I haven't read too many of her books that I enjoy, unfortunately, but this one caught my attention because it does sound pretty unique. So hopefully. So next up, we have Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This one is expected January 14th. Alice Feeney is one of my favorite authors, so I'm definitely excited for this one. This one, it just says, Alice Feeney returns with a gripping and deliciously dark thriller about marriage and revenge. So it sounds like an author calls his wife, and then he hears her like, "Stop, get out of the car," and then she is missing. So he's trying to figure out what is going on, and then it says a year later he's still trying to figure out what happened, and she's missing. And then he travels to a Scottish island to try and get back his sanity, kind of get over the situation. And then he finds somebody that looks just like his missing wife. So is it her? Did she run away from him? Is it someone else that's related? We'll have to see. But Alice Feeney has some of the best twists, in my opinion. And some of her books have been kind of a miss for me, but a lot of them I've really liked. So hopefully this one is a win for me. I did just order it from Book of the Month, so I'm very excited to get it. Next, we have Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. So Grady Hendrix writes very interesting horror. It's like campy horror is what people usually describe it as, and usually it's kind of humorous or like ridiculous, but then it's still very interesting. So this one, it's called it's about girls that get sent to like a house. So this one is about, it says 15-year-old Fern arrives at a home for unwed mothers in 1970. So like back in the day, when unwed mothers would get pregnant or whatnot, they would get sent off by their families, then like give the baby away and then come back and kind of act like nothing happened. So it sounds like this is kind of the setup for that. But then of course things quickly go to witchcraft and horror, and I really love the cover of this one. I mean, lava lamps, amazing. Next, we have The Really Dead Wives of New Jersey. This one is January 14th. And this one also sounds very interesting. So it says a page-turning thriller following the hit reality TV show Garden State Goddesses, where secrets are uncovered, intense rivalry surface, and a startling murder propels a producer on a riveting quest for the truth. So this one sounds like Desperate Housewives if someone got murdered on the show and then they try and solve and figure out what happened, which I love Housewives, so of course this one is like right up my alley. It sounds very interesting, very fun, lots of drama, so it sounds kind of more like one of those like maybe it's a bit humorous or a bit like ridiculous of a thriller, which I do tend to like because then it's not as dark, but it's still like interesting and still keeps my attention. Next we have Death in the Downline. This one is also January 14th. So this one I believe is kind of like a cozier mystery. So it's multi-level murder in this darkly funny mystery novel about the glamorous world of MLMs and the dangerous secrets at the top of the pyramid. So this one I feel like is very true to our current times. I see a lot of MLM stuff and like, you know, all that kind of stuff on Instagram. So this one takes that and then turns it into like a murder mystery. So it sounds like a lot of fun and it's very interesting because it sounds like something that we can all relate to in our current situation. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of drama and a lot of fun. Next up, we have The Business Trip by Jessie Garcia. This one is also January 14th. So this one I haven't really heard much about, and the cover didn't really grab me, but when I read the synopsis, it really grabbed my attention. So we have Stephanie and Jasmine. They don't know each other at all, but they end up on the same plane traveling. So Stephanie's on a business trip, and Jasmine is fleeing an abusive relationship. And they both send text messages to their friends about meeting this man, and then they both end up missing. So the people, their friends and stuff, are trying to figure out what happened and who this guy is. So I'm assuming it's not like exactly how it sounds, where like the man, I'm sure it's something with the man, but there's probably more and deeper levels to this. And it sounds very interesting because I'm curious what happened to these women and who is responsible. So next we have At the Bottom of the Garden by Camilla Bruce. This one is January 28th. And I've read this author before, and I enjoyed her other book that I read, so I'm hoping this one is the same. It says a murderess becomes the guardian of two very unusual girls in this mesmerizing gothic novel. So it sounds like we have a killer, and then two of her nieces come to stay with her because their parents died, and things, I'm sure, quickly unfold. It says the one even starts to see ghosts and stuff. So this one, I'm curious if it's going to be more horror or more like mystery thriller, and if it is actually going to be like supernatural, or if it's more like murdery. I don't know, we'll see, but it definitely sounds interesting. Her other one was pretty like kind of fantasy, so I'm assuming this one is probably going to be a little more paranormal or fantasy. And then lastly for January, we have The Crash by Frida McFadden in January 28th. So I'm not the biggest Frida McFadden fan, although I have had fun like reading her stuff. So it says the nightmare she's running from is nothing to compare to where she's headed. So it says Tegan's 8 months pregnant, alone and desperately wanting to put her crumbling life in the rearview mirror. So she hits the road planning to stay with her brother, but then she hits a blizzard, and then she gets stranded, and then I'm sure quickly things unfold. And this one I usually don't tend to like Frida McFadden as much as like some other people, but this one sounds really interesting because I do love a blizzard story and getting stranded like in the weather. And also I am almost 8 months pregnant, so I think it'll be interesting to read about her experience coming from someone who is in the same situation, but hopefully I don't get stranded like she does. And I feel like Frida McFadden, a lot of her stuff is very quick-paced, which I like, and very interesting. I know that a lot of people love her and a lot of people don't, so we'll see. And I feel like it's always kind of divided, but I probably will check it out. Alright guys, let's jump into the February releases. So first we have The Meadowbrook Murders by Jessica Goodman. This one is a young A thriller mystery. It's set at a prestigious New England boarding school, and it says dark secrets a killer desperately wants hidden, and it says secrets don't die when you do. So I've read this author before and I really liked her stuff, and I'm a pretty big fan of YA thrillers / mystery, so I think this one is going to be a win for me. And I'm assuming it's probably going to be like dark academia since it is set at a boarding school, which I feel like that's always pretty popular. And that one is February 4th. Next up we have Into the Fall by Tamara Miller. This one is expected February 1st. So this one is a debut. It says, from debut author Tamara Miller comes a suspenseful psychological thriller tracking the mysteries of a seemingly mundane life as they come to life in the vast, unforgiving Canadian wilderness. So this one sounds like it's kind of like a survival thriller. We have a woman who has 2 young kids, and then her husband vanishes during a trip, and then she has to survive like in the wild with her 2 kids and also try to figure out what happened to her husband. And I'm really interested in this one because of the wilderness aspect, and it's a debut, which I always like to try and give debuts a try. So next up we have a middle grade. It's called It's Watching by Lindsay Curry. This one expected February 4th. I'm a huge fan of this author, and this one, it's a chilling middle school novel. 3 kids must discover who or what is terrorizing them after receiving an anonymous meme on Halloween night. So I love Halloween based stuff. It is a little weird that it's coming out in February, not around Halloween, but that's okay. And I love this author. I've read a couple, actually I think I've read all of her books. If you guys didn't know, I'm actually work at a children's library, so I do tend to read a lot of middle grade, and this is one of my favorites. So I'm definitely going to be checking that one out. Next we have A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. Now this author is kind of hit or miss for me, so I'm hoping this one's a hit. Obviously this one's expected February 4th also. It says, a woman invited to her wealthy fiance's family retreat realizes they are hiding a terrible secret and that she's been there before. So I do tend to love a family story like that, or like a family reunion or family retreat. And I'm assuming because it's A Killing Cold that it's gonna be based around winter, or there's gonna be like a storm or something. So a lot of those aspects tend to work for me. So this one sounds right up my alley, and I do like the color combination on the book. Next we have A Girl Like Us by Anna Sophia McLaughlin. This one's at February 11th. So it says, succession meets Saltburn in a crackling locked room thriller of inconceivable wealth, unchecked power, and the secrets poised to bring a powerful family down. So I haven't watched Succession or Saltburn, but I know both are very popular. And I love a locked room thriller or mystery. I guess I've never really thought of a locked room thriller. It's more locked room mysteries, but this one does sound very interesting. And I feel like usually when it's a very wealthy family, like kind of being taken down, or there's secrets coming out about a wealthy family, I tend to enjoy that. Next we have You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. This one is February 11th as well, and I believe it's a debut. So it says an exclusive thriller writer's retreat hosted on a private island turns lethal when one of the authors is found murdered in this twisty locked room mystery. So again, locked room mystery, big fan. And also I feel like I like when authors are characters in books. And this one with the private island and the writer's retreat sounds very interesting. And I'm pretty sure it's a debut. So hopefully that one works out. Nothing Ever Happens Here is next, February 11th, by Serafina Novaglass. I read one other book by this author, and I really liked it. So I'm definitely excited for this one. It says, the only little tagline, nothing ever happens in small towns. So it sounds like a woman is attacked, and then she's trying to, like, feel safe again and like get back her life basically. And like a year and some later, she's in her small Minnesota town that's very snowy and it's during winter, and she gets an anonymous note. So she realized from probably the attacker, or the threat is the same as the attacker. So something very weird and dangerous is going on. So she has to kind of figure out what's going on and save herself. Okay, next up we have Close Your Eyes and Count to 10 by Lisa Unger. This one is expected February 18th. So I'm a big fan of this author. I've read a couple by her, and I tend to really like her stuff. I feel like she writes a lot of thriller mysteries that have like a bit of horror or like supernatural or something in it, so it's like a little different than just like a normal thriller, and I tend to usually like that. So it says there's like this big game of hide and seek on this island this millionaire is hosting, and things start to go bad. There's a storm, and then they realize that things are not as they seem. So this one sounds right up my alley. I love when there's like some sort of survival, or like things are not as they seem. So I'm definitely gonna check that one out. Next we have Something in the Walls by Daisy Pierce. So this one is expected February 25th. So we have a child psychologist, and she gets this girl, this 13-year-old is one of her patients, and she claims that a witch is haunting her. And then she has to unravel like what is actually going on. Like, is it actually paranormal? Is the girl mentally ill? Whatnot. And so this one sounds very interesting, and I'm really curious to see if it is paranormal or if it's more the mental health aspect. So I'm definitely very interested in that one. And lastly, for February, we have Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. This is the same author as Wrong Place, Wrong Time, which I really enjoyed. I haven't read any of her other books, though. So hopefully I enjoy this one like I enjoyed her other one. This one, it says there's a new mom, and she is going back to work for the first time after maternity leave. And then her husband goes missing with a cryptic note. So she kind of has to figure out what's going on, where's her husband, and like figure out just what's going on, obviously. So hopefully this one is as good as her other one. All right, guys, let's jump into March. So first we have Gravewater Lake by A.M. Strong and Sonia Sargent. I've read by these two authors before. The Last Girl Left, and I really enjoyed it. So this one, there is no description on Goodreads, which is kind of strange, but it's tagged as a thriller mystery horror, and the cover looks like it's gonna be kind of a haunting thing or something. So I am definitely gonna check it out, but I'm not sure why there is no description, but that's okay. I did still want to throw it out there because I did like the previous book by these authors. So I'm still going to check it out. We have The Other People by C.B. Everett. This one says a group of strangers gather in a mysterious country house are in a race against time to stop a serial killer in this twisty high concept thriller that combines Agatha Christie with Shutter Island. So this one is expected March 25th. And this one sounds very interesting. I love, of course, like this locked room mystery country house situation, but I like the idea with the serial killer thrown in, and it says a high concept thriller, so I'm really curious what they mean by that. So I'm definitely gonna be checking that one out. And I hope, sometimes I feel like high concept kind of goes above my head, so I hope that is not the case with that one. Next we have Witness 8 by Steve Kavanaugh. So this one, it says, this riveting psychological thriller from master of twists Steve Kavanaugh. It says, what if the witness was more twisted than the killer? So this one does say it's part of a series, but I haven't read any of the other series. So I'm thinking the way that the thing is written, I'm assuming you can kind of read them out of order, or it's just like the same detective or whatnot that follows the whole thing and you can just read them. So this one definitely intrigues me because I have really liked this author's other one, Kill for Me, Kill for You. So I'm definitely going to check this one out. And it sounds just like a classic like police procedural type thing, which I do tend to really enjoy. Next we have They Bloom at Night by Tran Tran. This one is expected March 4th. And this one is YA horror. It's also tagged as fantasy, so I'm not exactly sure. This one, there's a red algae that blooms in Louisiana after a hurricane. And then things are not safe. There's like monsters and stuff. So this one sounds very interesting. The cover is like amazing. So I'm definitely going to check it out. And we'll see how it is, of course. Next, we have We Were Warned by Chelsea Echazo. I'm so sorry about that name pronunciation. This one is also young adult. It's a young adult thriller mystery. It says, everyone knows the legend of Fairport 20 years ago. A shocking murder closed the place down. This year, the ruins will be bulldozed at last, but tonight it's not too late to die. So it sounds like there was like a resort where someone died or there was murders or whatnot and it was shut down, and now 20 years later they're gonna finally tear it down, but then I'm assuming people probably go back before it's torn down and things start to go crazy. And as I said before, I'm a pretty big fan of YA thrillers. I feel like they're usually fast-paced and keep my attention, so I'm hoping that is the case with that one. Next, we have The Thorns by Dawn Krudichit. I'm so sorry. In this hauntingly twisted tale, an author reconnects with an old boarding school friend, forcing her to reckon with their shared past and the imaginary creature she thought they left behind. So this one, I think is like a horror thriller situation. And I'm curious if it's going to be kind of fantasy or paranormal in some way because of that creature that was mentioned. I'm curious how far they're going to go with that or what's real or whatnot. So this one definitely intrigues me, and I think the cover is pretty cool. But I'm not sure what to expect. So this next one, How to Survive a Slasher by Justine Pusella Winans. This one is also YA. So this one, it says, you're not supposed to die tonight meets Scream in this YA slasher that turns classic horror tropes on their heads. So I'm a huge fan of slashers, and I tend to like them in book form also. And this one sounds very fun and interesting, and I hope that it lives up to my expectations. Next, we have a sequel. So this one, Kills Well with Others by Deanna Raybourn. This is the second book for Killers of a Certain Age. And in that one, we follow 4 senior women. They were all assassins, and then they're kind of being hunted again, so they're like kind of back in their spy assassin ways to try and survive and figure out who was hunting them. So it sounds like they're in another sticky situation where people are coming for them or whatnot. And I don't really want to read the synopsis too much, just because I already know the characters and kind of know what to expect, but I don't want to spoil anything. So I'll just leave it at that. Next one, we have The Summer Guest by Tess Gerritsen. This one is also a sequel for The Martini Club. So this one, it says it's a chilling follow-up to The Spy Coast, plunging the Martini Club into the search for a missing teen with a startling connection to their own past. So this one is also like a group of retired spies who, I think in the first one, she is kind of hunted again, so then she has to kind of come back and figure out what's going on. And now this one, it sounds like they're teaming back up to try and figure out another mystery. So this one definitely sounds interesting, and I like the first one. So next we have Saltwater by Katie Hayes. This one, let's see. It says in 1992, Sarah Lingate is found dead below the cliffs of Capri, leaving behind her 3-year-old daughter, Helen. And then the death is ruled an accident. But on the 30th anniversary of Sarah's death, they arrive at the villa to find a surprise waiting for them, the necklace Sarah was wearing the night she died. So I'm assuming that they are trying to solve the mystery, and that her death actually wasn't an accident. This one sounds interesting. I like when we are like at a resort or on vacation somewhere and there's a mystery or something to be solved. So that sounds right up my alley. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comments which books you are looking forward to, and if there's any more that I should add to my list. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next video.